I'm Cheryl. I've had health problems since birth, really. The timeline and all of the different things are way too complex to say much about it all at once right now. But I wanted to record something to have a sort of a baseline before I might begin a new alternative plan for my lifestyle, or for what you might call alternative and complementary care, to see if I can get some improvement in my health. The best health of my life was in my 40s. I had several really good years in my 40s after I had done the GAPS diet. And after that, sometime in my mid to late 40s, I was able to get down to what I thought at the time was a reasonable goal weight. After quite a few years at that point of focusing on health first rather than focusing on weight. During and after 2020, my health began to go down again. Again, lots of complexity of story of all the things we were going through before that and during 2020. But during 2020, by December, we moved. We moved to Florida, and the longer I was in Florida after the first couple of months, the more I also was very aware that my health was really spiraling down, even a lot more than I had realized. So a lot across 2021, I was really struggling with trying to figure out, after so many years of health improvements, why I was going down so far and so quickly. I was regaining weight here and there a little bit, never back up to how high I had been at one point in my 30s, but regaining. And I was experiencing varying levels from time to time, but what I'm going to just say is lots. From then until now, I've had lots of brain fog and brain glitchiness, which is why even to record this is extremely difficult for me right now. But in February of 2022, I know it was the middle of the month, so it's been almost exactly 3 years, I went zero carb. I had been hearing and seeing things about carnivore diet over the years. The first time was actually quite a few years before that I knew of someone online that I had some contact with that was eating only beef. And I essentially just really felt badly for her, that I thought, no matter how bad your problems are, there's always someone who's got it worse, and this poor woman just couldn't eat anything else. She was reacting to pretty much everything she tried to eat aside from beef. By the way, she's doing really well now. I love seeing her stories pop up from time to time online, and see how well she's doing now all these years later. But she was really a mess at the time when I was sometimes conversing with her online back then. But it didn't even occur to me at the time that it would be something I would need or that would be good for me, or why anyone would potentially suggest I should do it. And as far as I know, I never met anyone that was suggesting I should do it back then when I first heard of it. But I, and by the time we get to fast forward to February of 2022, I had heard a lot about it, and a couple of years before that, it had become much more common to hear about it online, and tons of people putting up videos that they were doing the carnivore diet. So I started with about 2 weeks that I was just calling zero carb, and eating really a very clean zero carb diet. And on March 1st is when I went to no plant foods, meaning I got rid of olive oil and coconut oil as well. I think I had both of those oils still in my diet during those last 2 weeks of February. But then I went to no plant foods, and that's very difficult to describe how good it was and how bad it was. I got some real improvements from it, and I was very encouraged at first. And I did not get nearly so many improvements as I hoped for, especially over time. After I had been on carnivore for a year to a year and a half, I began to have more trouble psychologically sticking with it and feeling good about it. My daughter would remind me from time to time that my mood control and my stability of emotions was just incredible on the carnivore diet compared to what it had been. So I had to always keep reminding myself there were real reasons to be doing it, and there were some very good benefits, but there are a lot of things that were problems, symptoms that I did not have much in my 40s that were coming back from much earlier ages, and there were a lot of problems, symptoms that were hard to deal with, and living in pain again all the time and all of that. So there's just not a good way to do an opening video to say where I am right now because of the level of complexity of the story and the level of brain fog and brain glitchiness I suffer from nowadays. But I have continued to try to do research like I had been able to do in the past and continue to try to figure out how to make good decisions despite feeling like I'm not functioning well cognitively a lot of the time. And I have looked into the idea of CIRS or CIRS, Chronic Inflammatory Response Syndrome, and I am just making this video now before getting a first time medical or telehealth medicine appointment that I believe is meant to be an evaluation for CIRS. I don't know what it's going to lead to. Don't know if that's the answer. Hate to go hoping for a diagnosis among the 10 bazillion diagnoses I've received in my lifetime, but if it would answer all questions, that would be wonderful to have answers. So even though I am, since sometime in my 30s, very leery of doctors and kind of had divorced myself from the whole mindset of what I grew up with go to the doctor, go to the hospital, take your medicine, follow the doctor's orders, blah, blah, blah. Really divorced myself from conventional medicine and conventional doctors over the years, but never to the point that I just never went to another doctor. I've had one or two doctors I've met since I began that divorcing myself from it process that were wonderful and amazing and helpful. I'm hoping and praying this gentleman that I get to meet today for my telehealth appointment will be helpful. But that's where I'm at right now. I did weigh myself this morning. I don't keep a scale at home. I still try to not focus on my weight, even though I am unhappy with where it is now. But there is a place where there's a public scale that I use. And I did weigh myself this morning, and I am at about 226 according to that scale, which who knows how accurate it is. But that in and of itself is a funny little change I can't explain. That just in the last 3 weeks or so, I don't know, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, somewhere in there, that I'm now about 10 pounds less than I was a month ago, and which is 10 pounds less than what I had been for at least a whole year, because I had gained weight before I started carnivore, and then I gained a bunch of weight on carnivore. And so for only 5'4" 3/4 height, 226 is still definitely not where I should be, but like I said, I try to focus on my health and more than on my weight, and it's all of the symptoms that I have that I want to find answers to, and hope that if I could become healthier and have found what some people I think very appropriately call root cause healing that we should all want if we have health problems, that I could eventually be at a better weight as well, just naturally getting healthier. So that's all for today.